Hello and welcome to Homer for Sunday, November 16th, 2025. Today we are going to be reading between lines 169 and 187 of Book 13 of the Iliad, in which we see the beginning of the Andraktasia, which is the killing of men in this great battle scene. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and let's get right into it with the English. But the rest fought on, and a cry unquenchable arose. And Teocher, son of Telamon, was first to slay his man, the spearman Imbrios, the son of Mentor, rich in horses. He dwelt in Padai before the sons of the Achaeans came, and had as wife a daughter of Priam, who was born out of wedlock, Merisichaste. But when the curved ships of the Danans came, he returned to Ilias and was preeminent among the Trojans, and he dwelt in his house of Priam, who held him in like honor with his own children in the house of Priam. Him, the son of Telamon, struck beneath the ear with a thrust of his long spear, and again drew out the spear, and he fell like an ash tree, that on the summit of a mountain that is seen from afar on every side is cut down by the bronze, and brings its tender leafage to the ground. So he fell, and about him rang his armor inlaid with bronze. And Teocher rushed out, eager to strip his armor from him. But Hector cast at him with his bright spear as he rushed. But Teocher, looking steadily at him, avoided the spear of bronze by a little. But Hector struck Amphimachos, son of Cteatos, son of Actor, in the chest with his spear as he was coming into the battle, and he fell with a thud, and over him his armor clanged. Amazing. Let's do it in the Greek. Oidaloi marnan toboetas pestos aurore, tauchroste protos telamonios anrakatecta, Imbrionaich me ten holoipo mentoros huion, naede pedaion rinelthen qui asacaion, currende priamoi anathen echemera sicasten, autorapeda noanes aluthonam pielisai, absesilion elthem atapropede troesi, Naeda par priamoi hodemin tianis atakesi. Ton ruios telamon sopuo atosenge macroi. Nuxec despas en engos hodao therapes en meli. Hodao tepesen melie hos. Toreos kurope hacathen perifain omenoio. Calcoitam nomene terenac toni pula pelasse, toni pul terenac toni pula pelasse. Hos pesenam vide hoi bracateo capoi kila calcoi. Tauchrostor methe mamo sapoteo creatusai. Hector dorme ventus acontis aduori paenoi. Al homenanta idon nelao atocalceon encos. Tuotonoram vimacon teatu hui actorionos. Niesomenon polemon de catastethos baleduri. Tuopes en de person arabes de teucerapautoi. Amazing. It's really nice to do slightly longer passages. You really get the chance to really enjoy the procession of the syllables. Sometimes when I go back and I listen to the performances that I've done, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can understand that, Somebody's got to work on their recitation here. But we're doing our best here on the Homer YouTube channel. And I'm very dehydrated, so that's why. I want to talk about this girl, Merisichaste, right? So the pathos here is that, the first to die is Imbrios, right? So Imbrios is this kind of we don't really know who he is, but he comes to the island of Imbros, right? And he was raised in the house of Priam, right? Because, he has as a wife a daughter of Priam, right? So Merisichaste. But this daughter of Priam is not one of Priam's daughters by his wife, Hecabe, right? Rather, this daughter is is a bastard daughter, right? So it's very interesting. This is the only bastard daughter in the Iliad, or daughter born out of wedlock, but at least it's possible, right? So Priam has a lot of sons, right? I mean, elsewhere in the Iliad, he talks about the multiple bed chambers that he built for all his sons in order to live in his castle, right, in Troy. But here we see an example of a daughter that's a bastard, born out of wedlock, but nonetheless, he is raised as if he is a son in honor with his own children. Tien Isa Takesi, right? So Tien honored Isa equally Takesi, right, with his children. What happens to this guy? Well, him, the son of Salomon, struck behind the ear with the thrust of his long spear. And then we get this really, really beautiful image of the hero falling as a tree falls. And I want to sort of meditate on this line here. I didn't really do the wekathen in the performance, but this is also an instance that I gamma wekathen. So as a tree, right, as an ash tree, hold awot epesen melia hos, right? So right away, the tree falls, right? And the tree is falling on the summit of a mountain, right? Korupe, on the head, right? Oreos, right? And then it is visible everywhere, right? Which is also very interesting. I really like this verb, perifai nomenoio, right? So the process of being seen is of this top of the mountain where the ash tree is. And very interestingly enough, the tool by which he is slain is an ash tool, right? So you use a poplar/ash tree in order to build the spear, right? Which, Teoker, who is this? Telamoniani, is the one that plants a spear in the side of his head. So this is an interesting. It's not quite as beautiful as some of the other tree metaphors, but we'll see other tree metaphors in book 13. But I think it's interesting when considering the idea of men as trees, and the fact that we share so much language of belonging with trees, right? We share so much habitation with trees. We share so much supplementation of our lives as light, right? We are the false. We are a false, right? Man is light, vowels. There's so many words, versus the fue of a tree, the growing. There's so many ideas of what is the fu la pelasse, right? How kai tam nomenne taranak doni pu la pelasse. So I think that this is actually a very philosophical line 180. By the bronze, cut, and then all of its cutness, right? Being cut by the bronze, falls down. All the leaves, fula, right? They fall down to earth, right? Such a pithy way of describing, the fall of a warrior in battle, but also I think a prelude, one might say, for Homer's jurisdiction of the spear, jurisdiction of the sword. What does it mean to clatter? Also, when we clatter to the ground, when we clatter to the ground in the Iliad, our armor rings around us, and then everybody goes and tries to get the armor. But we're not trying to really get the armor, really, all these thousands of years later, we're not trying to get the armor, we're trying to get the memory of the person. And here's a fun fact for you in the Iliad. The Greeks always get the armor. So one person dies, another person tries to run up and get the armor, they fail to get the armor, and another person throws a spear at them, and they miss that person who ducks out of the way. That person who ducks out of the way here is, what is this? I think it's the other Ajax, which is evidence that they got the Ajaxes mixed up, right? Or the Ion has the duel mixed up, right? So Teoker Ajax, or this other guy that's not the other Ajax, he dodges the spear, right? But the spear flies and hits somebody behind him, who's this little minor character. And we remember this whole process because of the fact that Homer has remembered him with the image of the tree falling. And I think it's very beautiful. And I also think it has to have something to do with the fact that we as people and we as individual myths that survive over time are always constantly remembrances of that origin point of us as growing things, no matter what technology or no matter what tools are used to cut down the tree, so to speak. I think there's a lot more to be said about trees and people in the Iliad, but we will have to leave it at that. But I encourage you to think about the question of, if you were to be stripped of all your armor and all your technology, what would be the part of you that is the tree? What part of you is always growing? And what part of you is below the armor that you would want to be remembered for forever? Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Homer YouTube channel. I sincerely hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to sharing more battle scenes with you tomorrow. Thanks, and have a great day. Bye.